What up? It's Wall Street, back again on a Saturday evening, ready to deliver you guys some talk about the NBA. And I want to talk about the mecca of basketball, Madison Square Garden, but more specifically, the New York Knicks, the team that plays there. Because the Knicks, probably one of the most popular teams in the league, obviously, because it's a major city. New York, like I said, being the quote-unquote mecca of basketball. When the Knicks are good, the NBA is very exciting. And Knicks fans are very passionate. I know this because most of my friends are Knicks fans. But I want to talk about a specific issue with the Knicks here, which is Tom Thibodeau. Because I think Tom Thibodeau is a great coach. I think he's a really good coach, but he's come under fire a lot recently for playing his guys an extended number of minutes. And this is always how he's been. He really runs his guys into the ground, so to speak. Typically that results in players getting injured. And I don't know if it's a direct correlation, but it seems like players do sustain a lot of injuries playing for Tom Thibodeau's teams, right? This was, really beginning to be a conversation back when he was coaching the Chicago Bulls during the Derrick Rose era. And obviously Derrick Rose was, sustained just monumental injuries, one after the other. And he was playing a decent amount of minutes. And there were other guys on that team that sustained injuries, but it wasn't like everybody was just getting injured, right? I think what really brought this back to light was the Knicks playoff run last season, where, by the time they got to the second round versus the Pacers, they were just falling apart. They're falling apart. Like Mitchell Robinson was out, OG Anunoby was dealing with something, Josh Hart was dealing with something, and I think Jalen Brunson broke his hand in the last game of that series. There was just so much going on and so many injuries happening. And then people started to think this dude is really playing this guy's a lot of minutes. Maybe they can't handle it, right? And it even came up this season with, I think, Mikal Bridges, and Tom Thibodeau got into it, and then they had a private conversation, patched things up. But Mikal Bridges was we have good bench guys. Why are we not running guys on the bench a little bit more and, saving, the starters, call it 5 minutes a game, right? There's little things that you could do, which I agree with Mikal on. And I'm not sure how that went over. I don't know. And that's Mikal Bridges saying that, who is literally the Iron Man of the NBA. He's typically in the top 10 for minutes every single year. He hasn't missed a game since high school. Since high school, he has not missed a game. And I hope everyone understands how absurd that is. That is one of the toughest things to do. Most people can't go into their office jobs where they sit at a computer 365 days a year, right? You still miss days. This guy is not missing days, right? So shout out to Mikal Bridges. That's just an awesome stat. I always love that stat. But let me just give you guys some context here on what exactly these minutes look like, right? So, for example, in the top 25 for minutes this season, there's not more than 2 players from a single team in the top 25 for minutes played, except the Knicks, who their entire starting 5 is in the top 25 for minutes played. Okay? So for an example, right? LeBron James is 23rd, or he's tied for 23rd in minutes played at 35 a game. And then there's Luka Doncic, who's tied at 20, or he just is 20. Yeah, he's at 20. It's close. Him and Cade Cunningham are close, 20 and 21. But so Luka and LeBron, right? And you would think those guys are getting a ton of minutes each game, because they do, right? The Knicks have Josh Hart at number 2, and he's actually tied for most minutes played with Tyrese Maxey at 37.7 minutes played per game. That is leading the entire league. Him and Tyrese Maxey tied. Right behind him is Mikal Bridges at 37.6. OG Anunoby is 6th overall in minutes at 36.6 per game. It just keeps going on. You have Jalen Brunson at 18 at 35.4 minutes per game, and then you have Karl Anthony Towns at 35 minutes a game. So You have 3 guys from the Knicks in the top 10 alone, right? It's certainly something that you can look at and be like, okay, is this something that is really a problem? And I think the other stat that I recently saw that kind of exacerbates this issue is that Tom Thibodeau is the winningest active head coach in the NBA today that has never had an NBA Finals appearance, right? So I think what this tells me is that Tom Thibodeau is playing his guys an insane amount of minutes, right? An unprecedented amount of minutes, right? Or maybe this, I know Wilt Chamberlain was playing a ton of minutes back in the day. Like that's a different era. Let's say in the modern era, right? This is unprecedented. Tom Thibodeau's doing that, and I think, like we saw last season, that is what is hindering them from getting really deep into the playoffs, right? This is why there was such a big thing about load management and resting guys throughout the season, so you can preserve them for the playoffs, which I understand from a strategic standpoint. Like, that makes a lot of sense. Tom Thibodeau's not resting his guys. Tom Thibodeau is not giving them rest. And again, I agree with what Mikal Bridges said, where it's like you have good players on your bench. Miles McBride, a great player, in my opinion. Like, you have Campaign coming off the bench. You have a lot of dudes that are coming off the bench that can make a difference. And I just don't think that's being utilized. And I don't know if Tom Thibodeau thinks of it as like a flow thing. He just wants the starters playing together all the time and like just constantly applying pressure when, the other team has their bench unit out. He just also wants the starters out. I don't really know. We'll see what happens, right? But he's got injury-prone guys on that team. Mitchell Robinson, I've said many times, dude's made out of glass. Like, he cannot stay healthy for the life of him. And I think, obviously Mikal Bridges is very durable, the most durable player in the NBA. Josh Hart, fairly durable as well. And I think it's a product of these guys staying in great shape, but great shape can only get you so far. If your body cannot handle it, then your body cannot handle it. And so far, it seems like they can handle it. My concern is we get to, the middle of May and they're falling apart, right? Not to mention, also Cleveland is a very tough team to beat in a 7-game series. Boston is a very tough team to beat in a 7-game series. They're also, if the season ended today, the Knicks would play the first round against the Milwaukee Bucks, which I do think they would win that series. But, playing against Giannis at all is going to be a tough matchup for whoever's guarding him. So Karl-Anthony Towns, Mitchell Robinson, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, whoever is going up against this dude, that's going to be a tough matchup. So I really do wonder if Tom Thibodeau can bring this team to the finals. I do believe this team can get to the finals. I just think it's more likely than not that they're going to run out of gas or they're just going to start getting injured. And I really hope that doesn't happen because I don't want any of these guys to get injured. That would be a horrible thing. But, it just seems like if this happens again this season where they kind of just start falling apart in terms of injuries as they get into, let's call it the end of the first round, beginning of the second round, I think Tom Thibodeau's probably out. I think they're probably going to bring in a new coach. And that's going to be that because you can't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results, especially in the NBA. People are constantly changing. You need to adapt to what these new systems are calling for and what's going on there. And that's about it. But, I just thought it was interesting. I do think, like I said, Tom Thibodeau is a great coach. I just think in terms of how many minutes these guys are playing, it's not sustainable, right? Especially as guys get older. Especially as guys, get more injury prone because of aging, because of more wear and tear on their body from playing in the league. I think you got to figure out how to have a deeper bench so you can play these guys. And it's not like the Knicks don't have a deep bench. I don't think they'd be the 3rd overall seed in the Eastern Conference if they didn't have a decent bench unit. So maybe they just got to lean on those guys more. But I want to know what you guys think, man. If you're a Knicks fan, please leave some comments down below. Let me know what you know about Thibs. Let me know what you think about this team. How do you think Thibs is going to navigate through the playoffs with them? I want to know your thoughts. So please leave some comments down below. As always, if you enjoyed the video, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Would greatly appreciate that. And I'm going to catch you guys later, man. Stay safe. Stay up. Handle business. Stand on business. Peace out.